Hi,
Hello,
I'm Margot,
and I'm August.
and this is.
Suit Up the Podcast.
Indeed, it is. August and Margot, thank you for joining me on Suit Up. I had a blast on a good squeeze. And ever since that fantastic interview, we've been talking back and forth about getting you guys on the show for what I'm tentatively calling Blockbuster Summer. Will it be a Blockbuster Summer? We'll find out. This might be the only movie we actually cover this summer. But if it is, I'm excited because it's jam-packed. But before we start talking about the film, introduce yourselves to the listening audience.
Oh, well, thank you for having us. I'm Margot of A Good Squeeze.
Indeed, and yes, it is an honor to be a part of your show. It was an honor to have you on our show. With that said, I'm August of A Good Squeeze. We're a James Bond themed podcast. We explore the world of 007, squeeze a little bit of that James Bond into our everyday lives through the lens of a novice and a nostalgic.
And I'm the novice, and he's the nostalgic.
How about
Yeah,
that?
it's pretty self-explanatory.
I maintain you guys are my favorite James Bond podcast. I'm sorry, Joe
Oh,
Tarlington. It's true. So thank you
that's so
guys so
sweet of you.
much.
You certainly didn't have to say that. That's very kind of you.
The check's in the mail. Uh, no, thank you. That's awesome to hear. I appreciate it. We loved having you on. Like I said, it's an honor being a part of your show. And when we're not talking James Bond, Margot and I love to talk about whether it's pro wrestling,
Mhm.
movies in general, or anime. How
Yeah.
about that?
Thank you so much for, well, yeah, again, we can't thank you enough for having us on, but I'll thank you one more time. Thanks for having us on and for choosing a topic that is so near and dear to our hearts, not just movies, but this specific
Mhm.
movie that you chose. Your whole theme, the summer blockbuster and everything, that's just exactly the kind of things that we like to talk about. We've been looking forward to this all week, so yeah.
Fantastic. See, I think that that's one of the things that makes your guys' podcast so delightful is that I recognize you guys would have ended up doing a show of some kind or another on one of
Yeah.
many different topics you guys enjoy. And that's part of what just makes the dynamic really fun. As
Well,
someone who
thank you.
gets a lot of James Bond content, you guys bring a different lens to it. And also sometimes you go on these little tributaries related to or around. And I'm a big movie guy. So I immediately was like, let's do a movie episode. I gave you guys a couple of options and ideas. I'm not the biggest anime guy. Guys, forgive me. So we're talking today, Castle in the Sky. This is the first Miyazaki film I've ever seen. This is the first
What?
Studio Ghibli film I have ever seen. I am
I
so not an anime guy. I have not seen any of these. And it's been on my bucket list because I love movies and I know that he's just a fantastic director. I love good animation. And I was just so blown away by how gorgeous this film was.
I'm so happy for you because truly I wish I was in your position where I had never seen them because now you get the pleasure of exploring them, ranking them, rewatching them, watching them one more time just to be sure. Like that's oh God, that's the essence of Ghibli, is
Now,
completely immersing yourself in it, into that world.
funny, this sounds a lot like a James Bond conversation to a certain
Golly,
extent.
100% I would, yes.
Just like on our show on A Good Squeeze, where we explore James Bond, novice, nostalgic.
hmm
This is you
Yeah,
being the novice
I
and us being the
am.
nostalgic for Castle in the
Why?
Sky.
Yes. Okay, so Castle in the Sky, when did you guys first see this film?
August, take it away.
Oh man. So, it was like 2004,
Hmm.
2005.
A
It
golden
was two
age.
it was 2005 just to like solidify. My father had opened a restaurant and I of course was asked to be the dishwasher. It was our opening night and it was crazy busy. We lived very far away from the restaurant and I didn't get home till about 1 a.m. And upon coming home, my brother was up. He's my younger brother, and he was like, "Hey, we went to the video rental store, and I picked up Castle in the Sky." Now, growing up, we would go to our grandmother's house, and there was a film we'd watch all the time on VHS called Kiki's Delivery
Hmm.
Service, which is another Ghibli film. And in front of the movie starting, there was a preview for Castle in the Sky. And we always wanted to see that movie. I grew up watching My Neighbor Totoro, which is another Ghibli, and Kiki, but I never saw this Castle in the Sky. Being younger, didn't know how to seek it out really. So it was always a mystery. And so he rented it. He found it and rented it. And I was exhausted, but I was one to fall asleep to a movie. So I popped it in thinking I would fall asleep within minutes. And within minutes, I was wide awake, sucked in, and I just went on this roller coaster with this movie of it being essentially everything I love about stories,
Hmm.
characters, and movie making in general, storytelling in general, adventure in general. Um, so yeah, that was my first time seeing Castle in the Sky, and it affected me then, and it affects me going forward, it affects me now. But yeah, that was my first little peep at Castle in the Sky. How about you, Margot?
So it's kind of a long story. I'll try to keep it short. When I was younger, my mom and my family in general, we would go out to the library and rent movies. That was
Hmm.
primarily where we got our movies from. And my mom would go sometimes independently and just bring me movies and thinking like, oh yeah, you'll enjoy this. And Castle in the Sky was one of those movies. Now, here's a little bit of context though. My family and I, we moved here to the United States when I was 5 years old
Hmm.
in 2000. And I didn't speak English very well until I was about 12 years old. So as a child, my mom, buying me these movies. We moved to the United States during the DVD boom, like right when VHS was
Yes.
becoming kind of irrelevant, which meant that we could change the language. We didn't have to go through the VHS thing where we just didn't know what was going on for a while. Now, TV was different, obviously. I had to
Hmm.
kind of whatever. But yeah, so a lot of the
Hmm.
DVDs my mom would bring home, we would just watch in French, and Castle in the Sky was one of those movies. So I never remembered it in English. That was never something that I affiliated as like, oh, Castle in the Sky, Castle in the Sky. It was Chateau dans le Ciel or something. I don't remember what the exact name is, but so watched it like pretty much on repeat. I just loved it so much that we had to return it.
Hmm.
And never seen it until then. And I think I might have been in like second or third grade when I watched it. Fast forward, or back in college, that's when I started getting into anime. And first I was just watching shows, and then I found out about movies, and I had heard about like Spirited Away and those
Hmm.
Ghibli films, but I never really dove into them. So I started watching Spirited Away. Absolutely fell in love with it. And this was during a very not particularly fun time in my life. And
Hmm.
you Google what are the best Ghibli movies, and Castle in the Sky popped up. And this movie, I remember the first time seeing it, it ended. I immediately watched it again. And then I watched it again. I watched it 3 times in a row. I just loved it so much. It wasn't like, oh, I don't understand. I got to rewatch it. I felt so safe and
Hmm.
happy and genuine bliss, genuine just escapism, this perfect adventure, these perfect characters, these perfect villains, this spectrum of evil and the spectrum of good, and
Hmm.
the relationships, everything about it was just so perfect. It was just so beautiful. And I introduced it to my brother, and he actually was a big part of it. So my brother has autism, and a
Hmm.
lot of the ways that he communicates is with using scripts.
Hmm.
And a lot of these scripts come from movies because we're a big movie family.
Yeah.
And Castle in the Sky, Howl's Moving Castle, and Spirited Away were the three that we watched on repeat, and Castle in the Sky was the one we watched the most out of all of them. And we like if we were just hanging out and there wasn't a TV around or anything, I would just recite the movie for him. That's how well I knew this movie. If we watch
Hmm.
it together, I'm not going to be annoying and I'm not just going to quote it, but there are moments of instincts where I'll just like I'll say the line, and it's a good feeling, but it was also like such a pillar in like me and
Hmm.
my brother's relationship during this time that wasn't fun for a lot of people in my family. And it truly was just such a beautiful experience just having that movie to be there for us. It was and still is like my favorite movie of all time, 100%. Just
Hmm.
it is just such a perfect story, so beautiful. Anyways, I could go on and on about this, but that is how I watched Castle in the Sky. But yeah.
That's fantastic. That is one of those things that I forget about DVDs being able to have bonus features or
Hmm.
changing the language, just so many
Yeah.
features that I miss. And okay, August, I can't remember the VHSs that had the intros of coming soon to home video. There are so many films that I thought would be so cool and so epic because of that. And guess what? The Hercules Xena animated film that was playing at the beginning of that Land Before Time tape that I had, not all I hoped it would be. So I'm glad Castle in the Sky lived up. I'm so glad that we are talking about this movie because it hits so many pulp adventure vibes in so many different ways.
Huh.
I was delighted to see just the cross section of how it works. I want to give the audience, if they haven't seen it, just a quick little blip. This is what the movie is. In Castle in the Sky, orphans Shita and Pazu are pursued by government agent Muska, the army, and a group of pirates. They seek Shita's crystal necklace, the key to accessing Lapita, a legendary flying castle hosting advanced technology. That's actually a pretty good summary, Wikipedia for the win. And I mean, the fact is, it starts in medias res. I love that we just begin open with the airship, and you have this chase. You have sky pirates. The moment I saw sky pirates, like, guys, I was
Oh,
sold.
oh yeah.
We when you and I were chatting about like what movie could we possibly talk about, and whether it was a summer blockbuster, which this was in Japan, or adventure film, I mentioned Castle in the Sky, and you messaged back, you're like, it has an airship. I'm like, this
So many
so
airships.
many
So
different
many
kinds of
airs.
airships.
Goliath. One thing I that opening scene. Also, wait, I did forget to add one thing about my story about Castle in the Sky. I didn't make the connection in college that I had seen that movie already, so that added to the because I was like, oh, I've never seen Castle in the Sky, and as it's playing, I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I've seen this movie before. Like it just yeah, so that
It
added
was
to it.
discovering
Re
childhood again. It was like
rediscovering it in
nostalgia,
English.
and it's perfect. Like,
Yeah.
okay, can I have to shout out the English cast on this because
Oh,
based
yes.
on it looks like because I was a little confused when I was looking over trivia at Disney did a re-release of it in the 90s, which is
Hmm.
what the most the dubs are at this point. The reason that's important because the original film came out in 86
Hmm.
and I was looking over the trivia. So Muska is voiced by Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Legend Mark Hamill. And the trivia
Yeah.
says he modeled his performance after David Hyde Pierce. And I'm like, but Frasier wasn't until like the 90s. So how could and then I saw the re-release date and I'm like, that's the connection. I
That's great.
believe you guys are also Batman the Animated Series fans. So
Hmm.
I'm really curious when
Right.
you hear
Uh,
do you have the box set?
somewhere up there. I'm trying to like
It's at
point
the
it
top of the shelf that's
here.
behind us, right? It's like somewhere here. I
Yeah,
think it might be that one, but um,
for sure.
but the like you were talking about that opening scene with Muska and everything, like the relationships are established so
Hmm.
beautifully in that moment. The
Hmm.
first off, you're like, oh, these evil pirates are trying to take this girl. Look, this man's protecting her, and then she raises the bottle and she smashes it over his head. You're like, wait, this is another bad guy? There's two bad guys, and the bad guys don't like each other? Right off the bat. Right off the bat, you're sucked in. It's just like, oh, who took her from who, from where, what? She doesn't
Hmm.
want those guys. She didn't want those guys. And then she plummets to her. Is it okay if I like spoil
Yes.
it for
Oh no, no.
people? Okay,
People,
cool.
folks, if you have never seen Castle in the Sky, maybe you shouldn't be listening to this episode. And if hopefully our conversation, if you haven't seen it and you're still listening, encourages you to go watch this movie because this is
Mhm.
also the first Studio Ghibli movie, which was the other like, oh my
That's right.
goodness,
Yeah.
this is the thing that started the template for what this studio was built on.
I know this movie just because we're all so excited to talk about it, and we're gonna go all over the place. But I gotta speak on the cast, like
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm so
you were
sorry.
bringing up.
Yeah, sorry, I
Uh,
got sidetracked too.
See, it's gonna keep happening for sure. Uh, Mark Hamill, as you said.
Yeah.
I'm going off of memory, but Anna Paquin, who at the
Yes.
time of recording this dub, she was just a couple years off of winning an Oscar.
Hmm.
Um,
What did she win the Oscar for?
something.
Not
Something.
She won,
X-Men.
not X-Men. Yeah. It was oh man, that's good trivia that I can't remember. The piano?
Um,
Is she in the piano?
yep.
She's the youngest Oscar winner ever though. How about that? Um oh
Paquin as
James
Shida.
James
James
Vanderbeek
Vanderbeek.
as Patsu.
Hmm.
He was really popular in Dawson's Creek at the time. But you got Cloris Leachman in here.
Hmm.
You got Mandy Patinkin.
Hmm.
Um who else? Andy Dick. All kinds of
Oh,
people.
Yeah.
most important to me, Jim Cummings voices the general, and I think a couple of like minor voices. But the moment he opens his voice, I'm like, that's Pete from Goof Troop. And
That's who that is. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Muska. Yeah.
when I hear Jim Cummings' voice, like we're talking about nostalgia here, Jim Cummings' voice is like the essence of childhood cartoon nostalgia to me because
Oh yeah.
every that poor man, I hope that Disney must have just like had him living at the studio
Yeah.
at a certain point because he voiced everything during the Saturday afternoon Disney blocks.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Ooh.
Absolutely. That was our era of like 90s stuff, right? And same with Mark Hamill,
We
of
were just
course.
watching Anastasia and like Rasputin
Yes.
started singing and I was like, that's Jim Cummings. Like
Yeah.
it's it's crazy. You just hear him and you're like, oh, I know who that it's a sleeper agent response. Truly it is. Anytime you hear his voice because
Hmm.
it's so beautifully manipulated for every character, but
Hmm.
there's that essence of Jim Cummings and it is just chef kiss.
Speaking on voices, in the world of anime,
Hmm.
a lot of people are very, sub, not dub.
I was
Hmm.
gonna
They're
ask, do
they're
you guys have a
purists.
preference on Castle in the Sky?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
certainly do. And that's kind of to my point. Like, you can watch this movie however you want, whether you want to watch it, the way it was created, have at it. But for me, one, it's how I was introduced to it was with this cast. But Margaret and I were just speaking on this afternoon. I truly think this movie is one of like the best dubbed
Hmm.
voice
Oh yeah.
acting casts ever. They like the quality of the voices just fit these
Hmm.
characters so well,
Hmm.
and these Disney dubs that they
Hmm.
have done for Ghibli films over the decades now are incredible. All of them. You should see them all.
Yeah.
But Castle in the Sky, yeah, it's like obviously my preferred way to watch it. I have seen it in Japanese before, but yeah,
So
it's
different.
English dub for me just because of this cast specifically.
Yeah, it's very different in Japanese. I don't remember it in French, clearly, but it's in English, the English dub is truly perfect. Just the I don't know how they directed. I know that Ghibli has a lot of influence as to
Hmm.
like how the characters deliver their lines and
Hmm.
what they who they cast, how the voices sound and everything.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, not
Maybe I'm thinking of Samurai Champloo now that I think about it.
well,
Never
no,
mind.
you're not wrong there either. But just to go on a small tangent, this movie came out, the dub that we listened
Hmm.
to came out in 2003. However, it was recorded in the late 90s.
Hmm.
But because of another Ghibli film called Princess Mononoke, which came out in
That's right.
97,
Hmm.
it was not successful in America. It was very
Hmm.
successful in Japan, but it came out the same time as like Tomorrow Never Dies, James Bond, and Titanic. Titanic came out, so it made
Titanic was the juggernaut.
yeah, it made no money. So they like quickly pulled their plan to release
Mm.
Castle in the Sky, but then a few years later, Spirited Away came out. It was
Hmm.
a big
Hmm.
phenomenon, won
Yeah.
won Best Animated Film. So they put out that dub and put it on VHS and DVD,
Hmm.
finally. But there was a movie, My Neighbor Totoro, which
Hmm.
came out in the mid 90s, also a dub,
Hmm.
and or maybe it was late, no, it was late 80s, early 90s that dub came out. It was done by Fox Searchlight,
Hmm.
and that dub it no longer exists.
Oh, wow.
It's what I grew up with, but it's so different from the translation. It's one of
Oh.
those like they just got
Hmm.
it and they made up their own script essentially. It's
It's like the
similar, right?
Godzilla movies. I totally understand.
Exactly, exactly. But in like the mid 2000s, Disney did
Hmm.
a new dub of My
Okay.
Neighbor Totoro. It's
Hmm.
more true to the
Hmm.
actual source material, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, Castle in the Sky, we listened to the English dub, but what's fascinating about this movie is because it came out like you said in 1986, they prepared it for like a
Hmm.
90s release and ultimately 2003 release. Margot and I, we grew up with and consumed this movie two different ways. There was a score. They revamped the score, redid the score,
Wow.
remastered it. Joe
Uh-huh.
Hisaishi came in and created completely new music for the 2003 version that we saw,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
But what she grew up with is more close to what was there in 1986.
It's the original score with the English dub. So that's what
Okay.
I grew up with and what I don't know which dub you watched. You probably watched
It was
the
whichever
newer
one was
score.
on Apple TV
Yeah.
available to
Yeah,
rent. So
so
I
that would
assume
be
it was
the
the
new
most
one.
recent one, which again,
He
music, Chef's Kiss was
It's amazing. I
fantastic.
mean, Joe Hisaishi, he scores most Ghibli films. There's some that he hasn't done,
The
but like
Miyazaki
90,
ones he did.
he does all the Miyazaki ones. He's done some of the what's his other?
Isao Takahata.
Yeah, he's done a few of his,
Okay.
but not all of them. But with that, the opening scene, music
Hmm.
plays immediately, correct?
Yes.
The Japanese dub or the original score, it's silent, and you just hear the
Oh.
and then the dun, dun, dun of the siren, and it's silent, and you hear all these people come in, and then as soon as the pirates come in,
Mm-hmm.
then they go like they swoop in. That's when it kicks in, and it's very because it's very eerie. It's very that's my favorite
Mm-hmm.
dub. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but so that's the one I grew up with. That's the one I showed my brother because it was on DV. I had it on DVD, and
Mm-hmm.
that's like what we watched. Um, technically I torrented it, and that's the one I got. But anyways, and then I got it on DVD so I could show my brother. And we went to the sometimes is it Cinemark or AMC? AMC does the Ghibli
Mm-hmm.
Fest, and we went
Yes.
to go see it.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie starts and the music kicks in, and I'm not joking. So again, this isn't stuff that me and my brother talk about. This isn't anything that we're like keen on. But we both like looked at each other. We were like, something's off. This feels wrong. We looked at each other and we looked at the screen. We looked at each other again, and then we're like, screw it, it's fine. Like we didn't say anything, but there was definitely that moment where we were like,
Mm-hmm.
like, you guys are playing the wrong movie, or like you're playing something over the movie, and it
You're like, is
was
the track wrong? Is it like
yeah.
pulled forward? What
A
happened?
part I was like, what are we watching? And then the story was the same, and I was like, oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I can put on my big girl pants and I can watch this. But I was definitely when we were getting ready to watch this movie for this podcast because I think this would have been our first time watching it together.
Yeah,
Oh.
Married 3 years, 3.5 years,
together seven.
7.
This is
Yeah,
both. I haven't said it myself, but
yeah,
this is my favorite movie. Also,
yeah.
what we had this as our favorite movie before even meeting each other.
That's so
Uh,
cute.
but this is our first time sitting down and watching it beginning to end
Yeah.
together. We had started it and fallen asleep before. We've
Mm-hmm.
watched it with family, but
Mm-hmm.
like up and down doing
Yeah.
stuff. So never like just like, hey,
Mhm.
let's watch Castle in the Sky.
So we had the conversation that was like, which dub are we gonna watch? So
Ah.
the solution was we watched both. So we watched it twice,
Yeah.
which I'm never gonna complain about. That
Yeah.
sounds like a great week watching it twice in a row.
To
Like,
Margot's point though, like we watched it we watched it her way first, with the original score. And I'm just so used to what
Mm-hmm.
you and I listen
mhm,
to, that score. The scores are different. They're like,
Really?
yeah,
mhm.
they're different. Like the sound, like it's like full orchestra, and the other
Mm-hmm.
one's like a small
Now
orchestra,
the
little.
theme is the
Mm-hmm.
same. It's the same
Yeah.
theme, but then there's little pieces here and there
Mm-hmm.
that are peppered in that don't
Mm-hmm.
exist in the other one.
Okay.
So yeah, it's so when I
So
was actually.
yeah, listening to it this time, I was like, something's off. I know there's a piece of music that goes off here, like for example, spoiler alert, but when Sheeta is falling at the very beginning and her
Mm-hmm.
crystal, the beams of light
Yes.
shoot out and stop her from falling, the music's very like da da boom, da da.
Mhm.
It's
Oh,
different.
I just got chills. I'm
It's
sorry.
different in the original. It's like off, not off by a beat, but it just comes in at a different
Mm.
time, and it's just like, this feels off.
So what did August do? He paused the movie, took the DVD out or the Blu-ray out, swapped it. Oh no, wait.
No, this is for your viewing.
Yeah, you paused it, you took it out,
Oh.
and then no, you didn't take it out because it's on the same Blu-ray. You paused the movie, you went to the menu, you changed the dub, and then when you went back and you were like, see,
It's
it's
better.
different. And then you went back, and then we kept watching the original score. So he just wanted to show me. I was like, all right,
Is
sounds
that
good.
annoying? Yeah.
Of course, since I'm used to it. 7 years together. I know you do this. Um,
But yeah, like um on our very first date, like
oh yeah.
picked her up, and within minutes, yeah, we're driving to the restaurant, and I asked her what her favorite movie was, and she said Castle in the Sky. And I was like, and she asked me, and I said, Castle in the Sky. Are we in love already?
Yes.
Uh
Now, any other person would have been like, "Oh, he's lying." I'm so naive. I was like, "Wow, meant to be," but he was in fact telling the truth. So,
yeah.
so we're good. Um, but it truly is like it's just such a. There's something about this movie that is. I think it's the perfect first Ghibli to watch because
Hmm.
it covers every theme that they, just like you said.
Yes.
It set a what do you call it? A
Precedent?
no. You know when architects
Standard?
are building a
A
Foundation?
blueprint.
blueprint, thank you. Okay,
Yes.
so when they're like Yeah, it set the blueprint for what Ghibli
Hmm.
films are going to be. Now, that doesn't mean that every Ghibli movie is the same, but it does explore themes of
Yes.
good and
Hmm.
evil on a spectrum. And
Hmm.
the female protagonists on
Hmm.
Ghibli films are always very strong, very powerful human beings, and there's always this aspect of the supernatural in one way or another, whether it is
Hmm.
like in someone's imagination or in the real present, like in the plot. Um,
I think
there's just so much
themes
to
of technology
Yes.
Yes.
versus nature.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um,
Airships everywhere. All the
I
time. All the time.
that's
There's things in the
no.
sky all the time. It's perfect.
Themes of
It's perfect.
flight,
Hmm.
certainly themes of flight and food. Food's
Hmm.
always
Yeah.
prevalent in Miyazaki films.
August made us a little Castle in the Sky spread for this movie.
Okay, so what was the menu? I'm so curious. And because again, it's just so cool that you guys make this a part of watching movies together.
Yeah. I've always enjoyed doing that, like theming a meal to the movie that we're gonna watch. That's what I do for our show, A Good Squeeze, whenever we watch a Bond movie. If they're eating something in the movie, I try to make it in real life.
hmm
So that's what I did for Castle in the Sky. There's a few scenes that involve
Hmm.
food throughout this movie, so I did my best to make some of this stuff. I made patsu bread, which is just thick. We made the bread from scratch, but thick bread
Wow.
with an egg on it,
Hmm.
an apple for dessert,
hmm
Sheeta's stew, and there's a scene where all the pirates and Patsu and everyone's eating all the meals, but there's meatballs for the
Meatballs for
boss.
the boss.
Meatballs
Meatballs
for
for
the
the
boss.
boss.
hmm
Yeah, and they're eating like there's like some glazed carrots and like steak fries
hmm
that I sprinkled paprika on. But yeah, I there's a lot of scenes in this movie that have food, and it always looks amazing,
hmm
and it's very like referenceable. Like we
Hmm.
should, meatballs for the boss.
And those scenes with the food is something that you see throughout the movie in general, is those beats, those moments that are
Hmm.
not there to advance the plot, but to set the tone of the scene. Like
Yes.
those when Sheeta is eating the bread.
Hmm.
And so Patsu, he eats it and, it kind of goes up. No, it doesn't go all over the place, but, he has to like just eat the
Slurp
egg.
it up. Yeah.
So then she laughs and she does the same. She'll just eat the egg and then she eats the bread. That didn't need to happen. They could have just
Hmm.
eaten it, but they had that moment where she, there's like the humor, the levity, the relationship building, those moments
Hmm.
of just a beat. And
Yep.
those are peppered throughout the movie. And
Hmm.
especially when it comes to the food, when she's cooking, you see her like peeling the potatoes, opening the lid, peeling the potatoes, closing the lid, and then, chopping some stuff up. Again, it doesn't need to be in the movie, but it is because it's that moment of just be present in the moment. And it's
Hmm.
so beautifully paced and it adds so much to it without forcing it down your throat. It makes you want to be there. It makes you want to be cooking stew and eating the stew. And I absolutely adore that about Ghibli films. And this movie does it just so beautifully. Um, yeah. Sorry.
I'm going to agree with Marga. I've said it for years. Not just Ghibli, but anime in
Hmm.
general, because just like any medium,
Hmm.
any type of movie or show or what have you, whether it's live action, cartoons, or anime has different subgenres and
Yes. Hmm.
different qualities. There's some very like not of our culture, not of our style, not of our
Yeah.
taste in general, but people gravitate to that too. This one, Ghibli films in general, but Castle in the Sky in
Hmm.
specifically, I think is the perfect way to introduce anybody
Yes.
to
hmm
anime.
Uh,
And you're a case in point,
hmm
perhaps.
I I found it fascinating to like when I watched the film, then I read the different articles and like the essays about where his influences came from. Because one of my main things was I'm always trying to figure out where is this happening? Like, is this supposed to be Japan? Is this San Francisco? Like in Big Hero 6? Like what
hmm
is the world of this story? And like I was reading the article, on apparently he had seen like the miner strikes in Wales, and that was one of the inspirations. And I'm like,
hmm
oh, I see some of these influences. Just interesting to see where he pulled from different elements.
Oh, big time.
Yeah,
And my I'm gonna bring this up now because I think this is the best point. I was fascinated by the mustaches. I'm like, this feels like because it makes me think of Luca. That's just when I see the big guy with the mustache, the
Hmm.
huge like bristle mustache. Now I default think of Luca. I'm like, okay, that's an interesting aspect. Is this Italy? I mean, meatballs were brought up earlier.
Yeah.
And but there's the scene where the boss and the pirate like explode their shirts. And I'm
Oh.
like, this is how I know it's anime, and this is genuinely hilarious. Peak cinema right here.
Hmm. Oh, truly. Make your shirt explode. He said mom was ugly now. Go get him. It's so good. Just the escalation of that. Again, it's just the
Hmm.
machismo put into context for children. And that's what's so
Yes,
great about it.
it
Is
feels
like,
like a
look,
fairy tale.
yes,
It is a
100%.
perfect fairy tale with airships.
Oh, it's so good. It's
Airships,
so good.
adventure, the spectrum of good and evil.
Hmm.
Um, it'll make you laugh, it'll make you cry. It has beautiful animation, beautiful music, incredible characters, but the settings throughout, like you said, like inspired by
Gorgeous.
Wales. Yeah,
Hmm.
oh, yeah, incredible. And encapsulated with this music. Like think of
Hmm.
when Patsu's waking up the town playing the trumpet and you see
Yes.
the doves fly through the town. It's
Like the
incredible.
mist is the first thing you see, and then it gets slowly dissipated as the sun rises, and
Mhm.
the his home, his
Hmm.
Patsu's home is just so
Yes.
cozy. Don't you want to just live there? Don't you just want to help someone who fell from the sky and give him your bed and you sleep on the floor under a ladder, crazy? But like, what a gentleman! Again, those moments, those small moments where he wakes up and he's sleeping on the floor. Like it could have just been her waking up, him making breakfast, but no, they added those tiny little details. He set
Hmm.
the scene. Um,
Of course,
yeah,
the military base and the
Yes.
airships there, and like the fortress that
Hmm.
that's there. The
spoiler,
what's up?
Miyazaki hates the military, just
Yeah,
so
I kind
you
of
know.
got that impression at a certain point. Which, okay, again, just the way that storytelling structure, I was paying attention to the time codes for when things were happening because I was like really curious. This is my first time watching a Miyazaki
Mhm.
film, Studio Ghibli film. I didn't quite know what to expect. I didn't know it was also the 80s, which means we either have, by 86, we either have the very atypical, this is how a plot structure works,
Mhm.
or we don't because it's the 80s. This is also Japan. I have zero context for what
Sure.
could happen here. And when the robot wakes up and then the everything, that is that 3/4 mark of the film, I think, where
Okay.
we are. No, it is the halfway mark. So it's
Okay.
the
Yeah.
get to hit the first hour. I'm like, oh, how is like that's normally the climax of the story where this huge everything's on fire. What's gonna happen next? And I was so impressed that he did a great job of then afterwards we have some of those really great scenes with the pirates that
Hmm.
Mm,
then give us our moment of peace before things ramp up again. Like I just love the way the
Yes.
structure was. The other thing I want to shout out because this was something I was really curious about, the robots in the
mhm,
film.
Hmm.
I haven't seen all of it, but I love the stunning animation of the Fleischer Superman cartoons.
mhm,
Hmm.
mhm, mhm.
I haven't
The
seen them.
I grew
the
up with
Okay.
those. Yeah,
the robots are, at least according to IMDb, based on the robots that the Superman and the Fleischer cartoon fights
yeah.
back in like the 40s. And I was like, oh, that's so cool that that's just a little reference there. That then in turn, I'm pretty sure Bruce Timm rips off this robot for later once something in one of the Batman the Animated Series episodes. So I just think it's really cool to see how this little, like, just design elements of how the robots are designed has
Hmm.
just slipped through over and over again through these different creators.
Absolutely.
I even found out recently that Miyazaki, he worked on like a 1970s, a couple episodes of the 1970s show Lupin the Third,
Oh,
which
really?
if you've never seen Lupin the Third, check that out. He's a gentleman thief
Yes.
kind
Hmm.
of story, but he introduced in one episode, it's like episode like 100 154 or something, but this robot. The Laputa robot
Hmm.
is in a 1978
Oh,
episode of Lupin the Third.
that
Isn't that
is
kind of cool?
so cool.
Yeah.
I just love how this stuff just keeps recurring because the robot is iconic. Like I looked at it and went,
Yeah.
this is the Iron Giant.
Yeah, how about that?
Um, There's also I interrupted you. I apologize. You were going to say something about the military base. Should we circle back on that?
Oh,
See,
sorry.
we're gonna
Yes,
go all over the
No,
military
that's on
base.
me. That's on me. Because then I do have a note about the inspiration stuff. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place. I
That's
apologize.
also a theme on our podcast, A Good Squeeze. Margot, interrupt,
I interrupt. I say,
and I
but it's my turn.
and I take it. I was just speaking on the settings, like
Mhm.
the
Hmm.
military base, of course, but it led into the robot because the Goliath airship, just
Oh
that
yeah.
visual
Oh,
of this
yes.
airship bigger than this fortress, but
Hmm.
the Dola gang, their
Hmm.
ship, the Tiger Moth, like that setting is
Yes.
so
Mhm.
cozy, so fun, and like you said,
Hmm.
it provides this levity to then build up
Hmm.
to the finale, but you get some really great character moments or
Yes.
character moments, but character building moments between
Hmm.
Sheeta and Patsu.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Um,
And the
and then of
motivation
course,
for the Dola gang. I mean,
Okay.
initially, when
mhm,
they go to save her, it's to get the
Hmm.
crystal back, and within that rescue, it's just the
yeah,
time they spend with Pashita and Patsu
Hmm.
that they're then it's their influence, it's Patsu and Shita's influence that like change the pirates. Like what do you call it when somebody has like a goal?
It
there's
changes.
I'm so bad at these things. You guys need to give me all the
I'm
words
like
in
their
it.
goal,
Right.
Yeah, I know. I was like, were
Not
other word for goal?
motivation.
their agenda.
Whatever. I'll think of the word in a minute. But yes, yeah, I do think that everything changes for them in that moment, and there's just this like, like not a no hard feelings thing, but like
Hmm.
hey, we both want the same thing. So,
Yeah, and then they
yeah.
understand each other, and they even say it, but they see a lot of themselves in
Hmm.
Patsu and Shita, and they're great. And of course, like the final setting I'll speak on is the castle in the
Oh,
sky.
yes.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Beautiful,
Hmm.
incredible, um, inspired by Gulliver's Travels, this whole
Yes.
concept. Which in that, if I remember that story, but the Laputians are I guess kind of the antagonists. They're like not evil, but kind of, and they destroy the land below. Um, and that's what they reference in this movie too. It used to
Hmm.
be this incredible power used for
Hmm.
evil. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of influence from this one movie. Now you see it more. There's his first movie, I think, first major movie was Lupin the Third, Castle of
Hmm.
Cagliostro, and you see a lot more of this influence that I'm about to mention in that movie, but it still definitely seeps into Castle in the Sky. There's this French movie that actually I grew up watching. It's an animated film, a surrealist animated film for children, written
Okay.
by my favorite poet, actually, named Jacques Prévert. It's called Le Roi et l'Oiseau, which is, and in English, the title was translated to The King and the Mockingbird.
Okay.
It's a beautiful story of an evil king who wants to marry this shepherdess, and the chimney sweep helps her escape. So there's already kind of a theme that you're kind of
Hmm.
noticing. Not exactly, but there. And there's a bird, a giant mockingbird that helps them escape.
Hmm.
And that's the general premise. And there's all these henchmen, very similar to Mushka's henchmen. Um, there's a lot of the technology that they use is very
Hmm.
similar to the Laputan stuff, and it's actually on Prime. You can watch it on Prime.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal film. I grew up watching it, and you can see so much influence there. And I remember watching this film when I, first started watching it over and over again. And I was like, this reminds me of Le Roi l'Oiseau. And like, I just really like, I was like, oh, that's so cool. There's like a lot of similarities. And then I read an article and it was like, yeah, it actually influenced a lot of his films. And I was like, that's so cool. Like, but again, he's not shy to talk about these things. He doesn't hide
Hmm.
it. He doesn't take credit. He definitely
Hmm.
like, he loves that influence. There's now Studio Ghibli is notoriously a very like, closed off
Hmm.
studio. They don't necessarily ask for a lot of collaborations or anything.
Hmm.
I think the first time they ever opened up their studio to new animators was for The Boy and the Hare in their latest release.
Hmm.
Um, but prior to that, it's very, very closed off and everything. But they don't just keep it to Japanese influence. There's a lot of
Yes.
like various various countries, various things, and they bring that into so many of their movies, and it's
Hmm.
something that's just so wonderful because it creates in the fantasy world a lot of ambiguity, which
Hmm.
draws more people in. It gives you more reason to get invested and involved, because it's not a mystery that you're trying
Hmm.
to figure out like where are they. It's something that anybody can kind of just throw themselves into because there is that ambiguity.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miyazaki, when he creates his stories, they're often inspired by experiences, like
Hmm.
places he's traveled or people he's met.
Mm.
There's been
Hmm.
like I think on three occasions, he's retired many times.
Yeah.
On three on
Yeah.
on three occasions, he's met somebody that I was like, I need to make a movie and put you in it. That happened with Spirited Away. That happened with Ponyo. He like retired and vacationed somewhere and met this like family and this young girl, and he fell in love with this town. He's like, I need to make a movie about
Mhm.
this place.
He was first going to retire with Princess Mononoke, then with Spirited Away, then with Ponyo, then with The Wind Rises, and then now The Boy and the Heron.
He's not retiring anymore.
He said he did say it did that was supposed to be his final film, and while he was making it, he was like, "Ah, I'm gonna make another one." So,
Which
lucky us,
that's
I'm
the
cool.
thing. I want creators like this to keep going
Yeah.
because this is how you get this like scope of a career where
Hmm.
you can see these working of themes, etc. I loved the he kind of went through the underground, like the set pieces of the movie. It has it we start underground, we get to like the actual surface, and then we get to the sky. And it kind of just moves through those
Yeah.
layers. And I just loved it
I
wasn't a
never
big thing, but it was just a subtle little thing. I was like, oh, that's I don't know how intentional it was, but it felt like the characters literally moving, climbing up to ascend to the
That's
clouds.
you're such a smart person. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this movie. I never picked up on that. I've never even thought about that. That's so clever. Movie.
In the opening credits of this movie,
Oh,
they
they're so
kind of
beautiful.
they're beautiful. Nothing else like it, right? And they tell not only kind of the whole story of the movie you're about
Mm-hmm.
to see, but it's, I guess, an allegory of history. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's people on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
They build like farmers. They build technology. They travel to the sky. They
Mm-hmm.
crash and burn,
Yeah.
and then they're back in their farms
Mm-hmm.
again. And then picks up this movie
Mm-hmm.
where they're on the ground. Well, then they're in the sky, but
Mhm.
it's like people on the
Mm-hmm.
ground working their way back up to ultimately.
Mhm.
It's this a tale of nature will always triumph,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
There's
Humans will never change.
Yes.
humans can never
Yeah.
change. Like even when things fall apart, they will find their way back up to that again.
Yeah.
But it's all like life is kind of like this circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel
I
like
find that beautiful.
his movies all explore this theme. And there's something so great about his work because all of his movies
Mm-hmm.
have never been more relevant in human history. It just feels like they become more and more relevant with every
Mm-hmm.
passing year. They can because it's the commentary on human nature versus
Mm-hmm.
their not versus but and how they interact with their environment. It's
Yeah.
such a relevant topic no matter what time period we're in. And as the years go by and the movies don't change, like the actual movies don't change, but they stay relevant. And it's just such
Mm-hmm.
a wonderful thing because then as he's making all these new movies, he can still look at that blueprint and it stays
Mm-hmm.
relevant. He can create these masterpieces nonetheless, and it's it's just so we're so spoiled. We
Well,
really are. We truly are spoiled with like just these wonderful films that this man has made. And he hates America too, just by the way. Despises us. He was alive when he was alive when
yeah.
the bomb dropped. Or
Yeah.
yeah,
The American air raids,
yeah.
yeah.
Fair.
He he has so many stories about that too. I highly recommend the documentary. What is it called?
Um,
It's on HBO Max, just
something
Ghibli
like
documentary,
Kingdom of
Kingdom of
Dreams.
Dreams or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives so much history on his life
Okay.
and him working on a movie specifically, I think The Wind Rises. And
Mhm.
it's one of those just like it adds so much meaning to the movies that you're watching. So highly recommend watching that when you start, not if, but when you
When
begin watching these Ghibli movies.
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating how this is what I loved about it. I can tell that there's a theme, something that's important without it ramming down my throat. And
Yeah.
it's an adventure. This feels like a fairy tale, like
Mhm.
Jack and the Beanstalk. It has
Yes.
this steampunk aesthetic to it in some ways, where it's that retrofuturism, but it's still an adventure. I 100% was getting, I saw it in the influences listed was not only Jules Verne, which makes sense, but
Mm.
also Robert Louis Stevenson, who wrote Treasure Island. And as I'm seeing Pasu interact with the pirates, I'm like, I'm getting Jim Hawkins vibes. I'm getting Treasure Island vibes. And I loved how beautifully he told this gorgeous story with an
Hmm.
adventure. And it's a good reminder stories can have themes without feeling boring.
Yep.
And adventure films can have more heft to them, or adventure stories can have more heft to them. It's really just it takes craft. And this is where
Mhm.
clearly Miyazaki is a master of the craft.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there. Just his concept of adventure is so beautifully tailored from like a child's perspective. Like he just has
Hmm.
such a great way of making his movies are so relevant to adults too, obviously, because
Yes.
he treats children with the respect that you would treat an
Hmm.
adult and, treats their intelligence as such, where he doesn't dumb anything down, but he doesn't make it hyper complex to try to make it something that it doesn't need to be. He finds
Hmm.
this like perfect medium where he's like, this, we're all still like a fairy tale is there for a reason,
Hmm.
it's a cautionary tale, it's a thing to inspire, it's a lesson, it's something, but there and he just takes these modern themes and just beautifies them and polishes them and puts them into this like beautiful mosaic of a story, and it's just really is like he is like the master of storytelling. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is my favorite film, but he's my favorite filmmaker of,
Hmm.
of any genre, right? I think he's one of the greatest storytellers of all time, personally.
Hmm.
Um,
Time out. I'm gonna get the charger for our computer because it's about to die real
Yes.
quick. I'm
oh,
so
Okay.
sorry.
No
good call.
worries.
That was quick.
Thank you.
It was like 100%. Oh man.
It happens very easily. I get it.
How are you? How's
I'm
life?
I am doing good. I am staying busy. I'm assuming you guys are experiencing a similar heat wave at this point. I'm like, why does it suddenly feel like we're on the surface of the sun? Yay, global warming, all the things. I'm like, I did not expect that all of a sudden we'd be under a heat dome.
Yeah, and our house doesn't have central air, so
Oh,
we're really cooking. But we're getting by. No, it's do you want to move the lamp maybe? Or okay. Do you do video?
I do video, but the YouTube video, it's basically just uploaded so that there's something searchable. It's okay.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Maybe we could plug that in just somewhere else. Hmm? That doesn't work. Sorry.
That's okay.
You can move the lamp just closer to you, and then there's a plug right around the corner on the ground. Yeah.
We're excited for Pulp Fest over here, so I'm looking forward to
Yes.
only a couple weeks away.
Yeah, we need to chat about that too, because when are you heading in and when are you heading home?
So
I know we're meeting
yeah,
Sunday.
we're gonna be heading in, I think Friday afternoon. I'm trying to
Okay.
remember it. Anything out of Des Moines to fly sucks because there are no direct flights unless you're one of three hubs, and alas, Pittsburgh is not a hub. Thus, I think we have a longer extra flight to
Yeah.
get there.
And you've been here
I
before?
have been there before, yes. This will be Faith's first time going to Pulp Fest.
Because I was gonna say you probably know like the airport and where I
Hmm.
think you guys are is like
Yes,
not close.
yes.
It's definitely a
We
journey.
we've already got the car rented. I'm prepared for it.
Okay.
We'll have a
You're
good time.
renting a car.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. Cool, cool, cool.
It'll be
You're
a
like,
good
I'm an
time.
adult.
I, I
Oh,
I've done this often enough that I've learned
Yeah.
certain things. Generally speaking, I'd rather be able to move around easily because I've grown up in the
Hmm.
Midwest my entire life. If you don't have a vehicle to get from point A to point B, you're screwed.
Yeah.
In when everything's like at least a half an hour to 45 minutes away.
okay. Yeah.
Thus, my entire perspective is not that I can walk anywhere or use public transportation. I went to New York for the first time and was like, what do you mean this subway that I can
Yeah.
take?
Yeah.
That was the opposite for me because in San Francisco everything was walkable and
Oh
there was a
yeah.
bus stop on every corner that went
Okay.
18 different directions. I moved here and they were like, "Where's your car?" I was like, "I guess I'm not going nowhere." That's it.
Uh, Funny thing on that, I look forward to if you read it someday, the third Mitch Mayhew book will take place in San Francisco. I just finished the first draft. I'm excited to keep going.
Ooh.
But
Oh.
for time reasons, we'll
Yes,
pull
sorry.
back into this.
Sorry.
Hmm.
That's okay. Restarting now. Miyazaki, I'm really curious since this is your guys' favorite movie. Do you have a
Hmm.
favorite scene or favorite moment in the
Yes.
film? Margot has an answer. Like sometimes people are like, "Oh, let me think about that one." You were like
It's
immediately, "I
it's my
know."
favorite shot in cinema. It's my favorite scene in all of cinema. I get very emotional thinking about it. I get goosebumps just describing it, and it's gonna happen now, so I apologize in advance. It's during the chase scene,
Hmm.
where the Dola gang is in the car,
Yes.
and you've got Shita and Patsu in the train, and
Hmm.
they're feeding the
Hmm.
coal into the engine, and the Dola gang, they're driving, and she just goes right onto the rails, and it's like tuck, 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 tuck,
Yes.
tuck, tuck, tuck. And as they look behind to see them, Dola climb. Ooh, sorry, just thinking about it. Dola climbs on the hood of the car, and the she rips off her skirt, revealing pants, and the music hits with the dun 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 dun. That right
Hmm.
there, every time. She's my favorite character in all of anime. All of anime. She
Hmm.
truly is. That is my favorite shot in any movie of any time of anywhere. It truly is just like it's so chilling. Just this like woman hopping on and just the power that she's exuding and the determination, the music too, the timing, everything is just so perfect. The animation too, with her sons like hanging on for dear life. She's a good mother because she takes her sons everywhere and she takes care of them and she gives them a good life, but she teaches them how to be independent and how to be hardworking. Now, obviously, that's not what I'm thinking about in that scene. I'm just taking it all in at once. But there's so many layers to that. It is just such a perfect scene, perfect shot. That is my favorite scene. Anyways, August,
And
what
to
about
your
you?
point with that, the animation in it is stunning. I
Oh
remember
yeah.
seeing the moment where the wheels are turning, and I'm like, just the shot of the wheel spinning on that car
Yeah.
is like something you could frame on a wall. It's just,
Yes.
chef's kiss.
I would give my arm, my leg, my limbs, all like neck down. You can take anything you want for just a cell from that movie. Any of them. I don't even care which one it is. Like it's some because every single shot is so perfect. Every
Hmm.
single piece of animation is just brilliant. It's so thoughtful. It's so intentional. It's the perfect movie. August, go ahead. I'm sorry.
August, what's your favorite scene in the movie?
I like when they do stuff.
Yeah.
She-
Yeah, I like the rock.
I like when the robot blows up stuff. No, man. So I have two that come to mind, and both are
Hmm.
like very like emotionally like hiya kind of parts, but
Hmm.
the opening happens, like we said at the top, it goes
Hmm.
right into the action, right into the adventure, and then it chimes into these incredibly beautiful opening credits, and you're just like sucked into this like high
Hmm.
and low and calm. And then it comes back to the movie, and Sheeta's falling. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Um, when Sheeta's falling, and that crystal shoots the light,
Hmm.
and the music just crescendos. It's just like this amalgamation, just all happens all at once. I get as I'm doing right now, I get a little choked up every time. And similarly, at the very end, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, but the adventure happens. The whole
Hmm.
movie takes place, and Muska has Sheeta and Patsu at gunpoint, and Patsu is secretly holding the crystal, and he says,
Hmm.
"Tell me the spell," and they whisper the spell of destruction, and everything that they've been like striving to accomplish, everybody in this movie is now crumbling
Hmm.
apart. And the music that plays,
Oh,
the children whispering chorus is incredible. And
Gooselash.
yeah, oh, I'm gonna cry. I get emotional every time.
That's
But yeah, those are my favorite parts of this movie
and
for
that
sure.
moment where two children made the decision, you understood the greater good, the idea that
hmm.
this needed to happen, the destruction needed to happen for life to continue on this.
Hmm.
As it's as the not the island, Margaux, the castle is floating up, and you
Hmm.
see the robot with the little animals, and he's still walking.
Yeah.
They get to live their life. They get to continue living on in Laputa, and you see Shiza and Patsu looking onward. That will also get me choked up. Is looking at the castle as it's going away. This great adventure that they've been talking about
Hmm.
forever, it's not what they wanted it to be. They wanted to discover Laputa. They didn't want to fight the military. But
Hmm.
that moment of them just watching it and looking, you don't know, they're not saying anything. They're just looking at it and watching it float away. such a powerful moment. Nothing needs to be said. You
Hmm.
don't need to fill that scene with dialogue. It's just everything about it is said in that moment. What is your favorite scene?
When the robot blows stuff
Yeah.
up. I like genuinely, I think that I have learned to really appreciate fire animation.
Oh.
Like just when explosions happen, good animation does it one way, bad animation does it another, and
Hmm.
just it genuinely is stunning. And also it's just such a moment of tension because it has like this King Kong vibe almost to it.
Oh
Like
yeah.
again, there's so many just subtle little things where I'm like, I don't know if it's simply because this is a timeless quality to the story, or if it's because Miyazaki's intentionally trying to echo some of this. But either way, it just there's so many moments that just resonates like that that I'm like, ooh, the opening is like a perfect short story in some ways. I heard one writer say a good short story should either be the end of a story or the beginning of one, because it's either the that final climax or it's that inciting incident of something's about to happen. And I think that that opening is just such a perfect intro of this is the story you're about to go on. So it just it's hard to choose, but I really do think the robot scene in the army base, just because it is so
It's
stunning, and you
incredible.
have the race that is Patsu trying to get there.
I just listening to you describe that scene was something that it's just I got kind of quiet because I was just thinking about it as you're describing it. No, it's beautifully said and truly you're right. Like it does evoke that. And the thing is too, like as you were saying this, this is a movie that I never really thought about this until I'm hearing you talk about it. This is a movie you could tell as a fairy tale, as a story.
Hmm.
You could tell this story to someone. It's not like for example, The Fugitive. I'm not gonna like
Hmm.
run you by like beat for beat like and then like then he
Then he said, I don't
and like
care.
that's great. God damn it, I wish I had said that. Anyway, sorry. But it's but the Castle in the Sky, you could just tell as a bedtime story. It
Hmm.
truly is. There's so much about it that like because there's all these tiny little elements of perfection. But you can just extract the story as it is and still have something beautiful and wonderful to share. Um, yeah.
Question for you, Terrence.
Hmm.
This is your first Ghibli film. This is
Hmm.
your first Miyazaki film. Have you considered watching others? And if so, do you have one in mind that you are curious to check out next if you've done any digging?
I've heard people tell me Princess Mononoke is incredible. And
Okay.
so that's probably the one that I would pick next in the Studio Ghibli lineup. My Neighbor Totoro and Kiki's Delivery Service are both just far too. I grew up in the 90s where everything is that imagery. And so there's that part of me, it's like, I'm just kind of not interested for that reason.
Hmm.
I think I'd enjoy something with a little bit more, for lack of a better term, narrative heft to it.
Yep.
And so I think Princess Mononoke might be my.
Whatever you were gonna say, if it wasn't Princess Mononoke, I would have told you no. Yeah, it's got to be Princess Mononoke. I was gonna tell you like you're wrong. You shouldn't do that. It needs to be Princess Mononoke.
You know,
Truly, yeah.
well, Princess Mononoke, I think's one of the most perfect films ever made
All right.
also. But as we've been discussing with Miyazaki and, master storyteller and having like these family films or these
Hmm.
fantasies, but with narrative heft,
Hmm.
uh, Kiki's Delivery Service
Okay.
definitely
My
has that.
my only
Okay.
thing I would say about like My Neighbor Totoro and Kiki's Delivery Service is it's very that's geared towards kids. That's very
Yes.
geared towards kids.
Kids, families.
So I would recommend saving those for last, to be perfectly
Hmm.
honest, unless you're exactly in the right mood. So
Hmm.
Kiki's first time I watched it, I was like, oh, this is just a kid's film. But that was like I think my fourth Ghibli film that I'd
Hmm.
seen. So I wouldn't I would say like or watch it with a kid you
Hmm.
know, like,
Which,
and who will sit and watch, not the one that
yeah.
runs around. Yeah, like,
My, I think the main thing I took away from Castle in the Sky is this is what
Mm.
I want Disney movies to be in some ways,
Yeah.
where I miss that kind of this is a classic, this is an adventure. This
Hmm.
is taking you on this breathtaking journey with stunning animation. And for the like, I can't remember if it was like the 1940s or 50s when they first got Sleeping Beauty, that's what this was for them. Just not necessarily with a whole lot of messaging to it, but it or
Hmm.
themes, but just the stunning animation that took you on this breathtaking epic journey. I want more films like Castle in the Sky that do
Yeah,
this, where we have a fun adventure with this breathtaking beauty to it.
Yeah,
absolutely. There's
absolutely.
and no, obviously I like a reluctant hero, but you don't have a reluctant hero in this one. They're
No.
all they're all on board. They're gung ho.
Hmm.
Patsu's like,
Okay.
you know,
One of my favorite moments is when the boss's wife is like, he's like, no, no, I gotta fight the pirates. And she's like, no, you need to be
who's
with
gonna take
her.
care of your friend? Like, and
And
he's like,
I'm like,
oh,
that is like the perfect, like, double level of you can tell this is an adult saying something to a kid to keep him from getting in trouble. But the same token, you see him from his level, he feels like he is being treated like a grown up and he is going to help her because
yes.
that's what he's going to do because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's so well done and it's so good. And again, it's him treating children with respect. It's him children treating children's intelligence as they should be treated with respect.
With Terrance, getting to know you over this last year and reading your books and following you on Instagram and seeing yes your content but your interests. I'm so glad you one watched this movie but two enjoyed it because
Hmm.
it seems like it has a lot of things that are right up your alley, whether it's the adventure, the airship pirates, the fantasy elements, the settings, but just the quality of this whole
Hmm.
story of Castle in the Sky. It seemed like it was made for you.
Now
I,
I gotta ask,
mhm.
who is your favorite character in the movie? Your favorite character?
Ooh, I think the robot. No, it's.
The
The fire.
robot blowing stuff up the fire.
I think it's Patsu just because, like,
Mhm.
especially when I see him doing everything in the film, I'm put back. My brain does that. Oh, I remember being a kid and wanting to be Jim Hawkins, being on this adventure. And I just love that he's a fun, capable hero. And he's surrounded by a lot of fun characters. Sheeta's also amazing.
Mhm.
But especially if I'm thinking, what would 10-year-old Terrence be like obsessed with? Patsu has a cool hat
Yes,
and he's
a
climbing around through
satchel.
everything. A satchel. I'm like, why didn't we get anime Indiana Jones? Anyway.
And he plays a trumpet.
And he plays a trumpet.
But then he becomes a pirate,
And
and
animals. Oh, he has to become a
it's
pirate.
it's great stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
What about you guys? Who's your favorite character?
Dola. Go ahead,
That
August.
tracks.
So
Yeah.
yeah, we figured. I don't need to say why. You don't know about
uh,
that one.
growing up, I have like a three-part answer, and
Okay.
growing up it was Patsu. Very similar
Mm-hmm.
reasons that you gave. I related to that character. He's who I identified with following the
Mm-hmm.
adventure through. Um, as I got older, it's definitely the Dola gang, but
Yes.
Dola,
Yeah.
so much fun. In stories in general, I love it when an antagonist then
Mm-hmm.
kind of has a change of heart and then aids the protagonist
Mm-hmm.
to defeat a greater evil. In stories, I love that, and this is exactly that. Um, but as of recent, it's Patsu again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, getting emotional.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, um, and it has to do with the voice actor.
Hmm.
It's James
Yeah.
Vanderbeek.
Yeah.
We recently, well, not recently, but last year we got to meet him, and
Oh, wow.
it
Hmm.
was his last like fan
Yeah.
expo that
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
attended, and we didn't know that was going to be his
Mm-hmm.
last one. Well, actually, at the time, we didn't even know he was sick.
Mm-hmm.
But this movie is so special to both of us.
Yeah.
We were like, hey, we got to go. And Margot, as a graphic designer, she makes personal art. She
Mm-hmm.
made a Castle in the Sky piece, and we were like, oh,
Oh.
he's got
Hmm.
to sign this.
Yeah.
So we got to experience that, and yeah, then we had a great moment with him.
It was really nice because I do have to give a little bit of context. we there's this one specific story that I don't tell a lot of people about this, but I figured this would be a good actually like
Hmm.
conversation to bring it up into. Um you know, I told you that this movie was very special to me and my brother, and my brother works on scripts. And a big part of his thing is he'll ask what happened to a character when something exciting has happened in his own life.
Hmm.
So when he's happy, he'll be like, "What happened to Patsu?" And then I describe, "Oh, in Patsu, this happened to kind of." That's how he makes that connection of like, "I'm excited.
Hmm.
Let's talk about how excited I am, but I don't have the words to talk about it. Let's express it."
Hmm.
So what happened to Patsu is a very common thing that happened that we talked about. And one day we took a family vacation to Maine and we had kayaks that were there. Now my brother has what is called profound autism, which what used to be
Hmm.
called low functioning autism. So he always does
Hmm.
need to have like somebody around just to kind of keep an
Yeah.
eye on him and just help him out with stuff. And one day, you know, we were all just hanging out and I was doing the dishes and my sister came down the stairs and I was like, "Hey, where's my brother? Where's you know, I'm not gonna say his name, but
Yeah.
where's my brother?" And she was like, "He's not with you?" I was like, "No." And it was like, "Drop everything. We gotta
Yeah.
look." So we looked everywhere in the house, couldn't find him. We were like, "All right, let's go." Told everybody in the house. We were like, "We can't find him. We need to split up." So I mean, it was like you hit the big
Hmm.
red button and everybody knew what to do. Everybody
Yes.
ran. Some people got in a car and just drove up the street to make sure to see if they could find him. Some people went in the woods. Some people, again, we're in Maine. We're not in our on our
Hmm.
turf. And there's
Yes.
a so there was a rocky patch. I ran down there because he also has epilepsy. So we're like, okay, well, what if something happened
Hmm.
this night? It was a very scary moment. And as
Yeah.
we're looking for him, I'm yelling and I'm like yelling his name. And I see there's across the river, there's a lady on a dock and she goes, and I was like, okay, thank you. And I keep calling him. And then she goes, no, no, he's over there. And I was like, what? And I look in the distance and there's this tiny little blonde boy in a little blue kayak having the time of his life, having the time of his life in this kayak. And me and my sister saw it at the same time and we are like, we gotta go. So we both jumped into the
Hmm.
kayaks. Got to him. Luckily, he was sitting in the front, so I was able to sit in the back because that's how you want to be if you're going to do paddling.
Yes.
And the second we got to him, he looks at me and goes, Margot, what happened to Patsu? And I was like, well, let me tell you what happened to Patsu. So we found him. He was safe. He was good. The best possible
Hmm.
scenario happened. And not
Yes.
just like this was the first time he ever had a real moment of independence. He got to go on this
Hmm.
kayak and he got to express himself and be by himself for a little bit
His
Hmm.
own
in
adventure.
his own adventure. He went on
Yeah.
his own. Oh gosh, that was beautiful, my love. Yes, he went to go on his own adventure. I got to share that with James Vanderbeek, and I told him about
Hmm.
that. And I said, you know, I did. I told him, I said, thank you for giving my brother a voice because in those situations he was able to have his. Oh my gosh, I never even thought of it that way. Have his own adventure, and it was just such a beautiful moment
Hmm.
where I just the look in his eyes and just the sympathy that he gave and the understanding. You know, he was so patiently
Hmm.
listening to the story, and he offered to give me a hug. He said, "I'd like to give you a hug," and I was like, "Oh, this is beautiful." He smelled great. And but it's such a meaningful moment in my
Hmm.
mother's life, and it's such a meaningful interaction. Just everything that happened.
Hmm.
Um, and being able to share that with him was so, I was sobbing the entire time. So when we first approached him, I started saying the story and I started crying. So I told August, like, go ahead and tell him. And in true Margot fashion, he said 4 words and I was like, no, it's okay, I got it. And then I told him the story. But it's just through tears, I'm just crying.
Hmm.
It was such a meaningful experience. Just he's the only thing I know him from is from that movie, and that's like everything
Hmm.
he is Patsu. And
Hmm.
it was just such a perfect moment and such a wonderful he's such a good man. Just the way that he was
Hmm.
treating everybody ahead of us too was
Yeah.
you could tell he had a twinkle in his eye
Hmm.
consistently. It was just such a beautiful moment and so obvious. It was a very castle in the sky moment. It was just there's
Yeah.
everything was just so perfect
That
about it.
that's what makes I think Potsu my favorite character once again. It's
Hmm.
mainly because of James Vanderbeek. I have nothing that special in that regard with Castle in the Sky, but like this movie inspired
Hmm.
me to want to make my own movies, my own
Yeah.
stories, my own characters. I pursued that throughout high school. I went to college for it, and I was on the journey to do that. And life happens, and
Hmm.
dreams get changed sometimes and
Mhm.
things like that. But
Adventures happen.
Adventures.
I love that. I'm gonna tattoo that on my forehead. Adventures happen. I need that more in my life.
Yeah.
But in 2018, maybe 17, I have a friend. Well, I guess I'll name drop a little bit. He's a YouTuber. His name's Chris Stuckman.
Oh
He
yeah.
reviews
Hmm.
films.
Mhm.
And he reached out to me because he was writing a book.
Hmm.
and he wanted to incorporate, well, himself, but content creators, some
Hmm.
celebrities, but fans, people, just common Joe Schmoes. And his book was called The Anime Impact. And he asked me if I would be willing to write an article, just it
Yeah.
is four pages about Castle in the Sky. So I did, and it's like I'm a published author, just like Terrance Layhew. Un
Congratulations.
under my Terrance Layhew books, I have the Anime Impact.
Oh, that is
Um,
so cool.
yeah, and it's like there's just something. Oh, here it is. I just flipped right to it. There's me, August Babington,
Like that's
Castle in
the
the Sky.
most opened page in that book.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so that was like something special that I always like think about. Like I got
Hmm.
to write, and like I bought that book in a Barnes and Noble kind of thing. It was like a really incredible experience, one,
Mhm.
but special because it was about my favorite movie.
Yeah.
Something that I've been pursuing is my own castle in the sky. Um, and it went away from me. And then
Hmm.
it came back in my life, just like the opening of the movie. They're on the
Hmm.
ground and they're up in the sky and then they're on the ground again.
I mean, that's
Um,
narrative in a lot of senses, is that's the way that stories work. And I think that that's one of the cool things. I love that stories like Castle in the Sky really do. It's the kind of story that makes you want to tell stories in
Yeah.
a lot of ways.
yes,
Hmm.
absolutely,
Big time.
absolutely. I'm glad you've one chose now to finally watch this movie, but to have us on
Oh,
to
Yeah.
no.
to talk about it for sure.
My
Thank you
my
so much.
my last question to you, and you don't
Hmm.
have to answer because I don't know what your plans are with this or anything, but this movie is so important to us. It truly is. There's so much history and so personal and just watching it and everything. Um, what is your movie that is that to you?
Oh, that's really tough
Okay.
because there's so many movies. Like it would be. I almost,
Maverick
well, I almost
with
was
Mel
like, Maverick
Gibson.
is one of my favorite movies, but if we're talking like the degree of emotional resonance that
Hmm.
this has for the both of you, I don't know if I have a movie offhand that just grips me in that way. Like Casablanca, maybe, but
Yeah.
I also feel like it would probably be a Cary Grant film. Like
Yeah.
there's just so many. I grew up watching those old Hollywood films because my parents love the classics.
Hmm.
And no, I've got an answer. The Mask of Zorro. The Mask of Zorro was one of the first like grown-up movies I remember watching as a kid. And that's the film that made me go, I want to tell stories like this. And I realize now so many of the different things that I like about good stories come from watching The Mask of Zorro as a kid.
Man, we were gonna watch that last night,
Yeah.
and then we didn't. But great story on mine. That's wonderful. I like it when people have that. There's that movie, the catalyst,
Hmm.
the the root
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
everything.
I think
It's
it's good to have that answer in your back pocket always.
mhm.
You can change your mind later, is what I always say, but no, that's a fantastic answer. And with I said earlier, I'm glad this movie you enjoyed it because I feel like it's right up your alley. Um, you like we were saying, Princess Mononoke is a great, like the
Hmm.
perfect next step.
Hmm.
But also if you can find it, Lupin the Third, Castle of
Hmm.
Cagliostro,
I've been
they're
meaning to get some Lupin the
perfect.
Third because I've heard so much about how it's this unique like pulp spin-off in some ways because like it was originally there's a character called Lupin who was a thief in like
Hmm.
French
Hmm.
literature that then got co-opted essentially and then because of rights issues they're like, well, he's Lupin the Third and
Yes.
all this stuff and it's always intrigued me.
You're
Yes,
gonna have a
that
field day with
that
that
one's
movie.
up your alley for
Yeah.
sure. And if you're ever feeling like spicy and want to try something a little different, but I know from some of your other books, there is a great romance Ghibli
Okay.
film called Whisper the Heart.
Oh,
It's not
Okay.
it's not a Miyazaki. He wrote
Mm-hmm.
it, but he didn't direct it, but it's incredible.
Okay.
And if ever you want to have a good cry and watch the saddest movie ever made, Grave of the
Oh
Fireflies
yeah.
Oh, that
by
sounds
Isao Takahata.
You really
that
can
just
only watch it
I was gonna
once.
say that
It's like,
the name alone makes me feel sad.
yeah. We're not even gonna tell you what it's about. Just start watching it, and immediately you know, like, oh, this is gonna make me cry. This is gonna, yeah. You might as well watch it when you're already sad because you're gonna. There's no way out of it.
It'll
There's
just
no way out.
help your tears.
Yeah, but it's not like a weird whatever movie. It's
Yeah.
just a very
It's
beautiful
just
story,
okay.
very emotionally
Mm-hmm.
charged.
Okay.
But it's not some weird like you know
Mm-hmm.
gross stuff or anything like
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
Just reassuring.
it's
Yeah.
two kids trying to survive the
Mm-hmm.
American air raids during
Yeah.
World War II in Japan.
Oh, that sounds like the perfect thing to watch after watching Godzilla minus zero, which I'm very
Oh,
excited to come out this.
that would be.
Great companion piece.
Godzilla minus one.
It's the new
Great.
Barbenheimer.
It's the new Barbenheimer, is that what you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
August, Margot, thank you
Uh,
so much for joining me on the show today. It's been fun to
thank
talk
you.
Castle in the Sky and hear your guys' personal connections to it. Where can people go to learn more about you, your work, and get a good squeeze into their daily life?
Nice. You can find us on Instagram and only Instagram at A Good Squeeze, where August posts just various updates, life updates, episode updates, all the updates. Beautiful things that you get to look at, Bond inspired things. The squeezes James Bond into the Instagram. I'm sorry, I'm like panicking all of a sudden. I do this like every time we record. Um, yeah, that's where you can find us only Instagram because it's too much work otherwise.
And if you want to listen to us via like the podcast, as we are a podcast, wherever you get your stuff, Audio Boom is our URL base, but Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, things like that. We are a James Bond theme podcast where we squeeze a little bit of that James Bond into our everyday lives. And at this point in time, you can also find us on YouTube, but vaguely.
Ooh.
I created something called the 30-day squeeze. It's a
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle challenge, and you can follow along on YouTube as well.
Mhm.
Awesome. And I will link all of that in the show notes. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you.